Good morning. This is John Harder, and coming to you with a live broadcast number 175. And how to create immediate cash flow and long-term wealth using TBC. Yeah, we can do that. All right. So you can't climb the ladder of success wearing a costume of failure. You can't climb the ladder of success wearing the costume of failure. When you climb up, you are above everybody else. And that puts you higher than what everybody else is, and being higher than everybody else in a costume of failure. Wow, that just wouldn't jive very well. So you've got to change your costume. Matter of fact, you've probably heard it said before, fake it until you make it. Well, this happens to be very true. This happens to be very true, that you pretty much have to do that. Now, let's realize something though, because the success that you actually want, that is your reality. If you want success and you are experiencing failure, then you are living in denial of your real self. And humanity has been pushed really hard by the perpetrators of the world to live like that. But it's time we break out of our shell. It's time we start seeing the success that we can become, and enact it as if we already have it. Already claim to be as successful as what we want to be, and the exterior world will follow suit. Now, what is interesting is that we each have two worlds. Every person has two worlds that you're dealing with all the time. You've got an inner world and you've got an outer world. Your outer world is always a copy mirroring back to you what the inner world looks like. So when you change the inner world, it's not apparent right away. You're the only person that can see it. But as you live the inner world, the outer world takes shape accordingly, and then everybody else is beginning to see. And this is why, you know, there is a phrase there's a phrase that says that first people asked me, why do you do that? Later, they asked me, how did you do it? You see, those phrases, that shows while you're working on your inner world, people around you will say, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? And once that world appears, that's when they come and ask, well, how did you do that? And that's when we can turn around and say, well, remember you asked me why I was doing the things that I was doing? Well, now you can see why I was doing it. You see, the outer world will reflect what the inner world is. So when we want the inner world to change, I did a video recently on Esau and Jacob from the Old Testament. That is what we're seeing in that video too, or in that situation, because Jacob, he was seeing a different inner world than what he was experiencing, but the outer world soon started reflecting it. And of course, if you missed that video, maybe you'll want to pick that up and see a little bit how, you know, what happened in their situation. You know, how Jacob ended up with the blessing that Esau would have, you know, his lifelong figured that was his, and now it was given to Jacob. And it was because Jacob was the one that deserved it. We will always get what we deserve, because all of us deserve all of the blessings of life. And as we claim them, as we shape our inner world, then the outer world will show it. And that's how we begin to experience what our inner world is. Thank you very much, Susie, for tuning in. I appreciate very much. Stephen Cuffey as well. Thank you so much. Now, I want to talk about the tool that has been handed to us by the admin of TBC. And I'm going to venture out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that just about every person in the world desires a different world than they're experiencing. That almost every person wants more cash flow in their life, less taxes, less of the things that nibble away at your accomplishments and your sweat and tears, and more to show for it. Well, this is coming down the pipes, folks. This is coming down the lines. It is absolutely coming. So take courage. Take a huge heap of courage, because it's coming, and it's coming fast. All right. So admin has announced to us just recently the public statement. That public statement has the biggest loads of freedom I've ever seen for humanity. Besides the fact that the freedom has always been ours, it could have never ever been stolen from us by the perpetrators had we been alert. Nonetheless, here we are. And as the world, you know, currently is groaning, moaning and groaning to get rid of the pains that have done all the perpetration upon us. Now, we can read about that in the scriptures as well, which actually I'm going to be making a video about that, and very soon, possibly on Sunday, I'm guessing, but I haven't got the time completed yet when I'm going to be doing that. But the world has moaned and groaned for years, and the scriptures talk about that, and that is exactly what the scriptures, what the Apostle Paul was talking about. So we're going to be making a video. I'm going to be making a video about that, and so hopefully it will be a video that can bless a lot of people with a deeper understanding of what the scriptures are actually talking about. Okay, so the tool that TBC admin has handed to us as TBCians, or we could say Kringlers, whatever we decide that we are, because our inner decision will eventually show out in the real world. Okay, so, well, let me actually rephrase that, because the real world isn't the one that people see. The real world is the one that only you can see. And the people around you, all your friends, everybody who sees the way you live, they can only see the reflection of your real world. That's all they'll ever see. The real world, only you can see. It's time we take a hold of that, because we have always lived on the details, on the outer world being the real world, and that's backwards, folks. That's backwards, because the real world is the inner one. All right, so now I want to look at those tools for a little bit, and I'm not going to share the screen today, because I want to just talk about it, and but I will tell you where you can find these tools, where they are. If you are not signed up to the Kringle.cash system, there is a link under this video where you can sign up, and you can, and as soon as you sign up and that you're a member, that you have confirmed your email and all of that, that you're actually a member, and you log in, immediately you can just follow the steps. Folks, this is real stuff. This is the way it should be. This is the way it should be. You log into your Kringle.cash back office, and boom, you are on the page where you can just follow. And here's what else. The days are exactly laid out. Did you know? Did you know that you can make money on day one? That's right, on day one. Look at the steps. Look at the not just fast track, but what is it called now? Now, I should know this, but I can't remember what the 48-hour window. But you have a 24-hour window, and then a 48, up to 48, which actually all begins after your wallet is paid for. The clock is on. You can bring in 2 people and help them each bring in 2. And as you do that, the compensation for that, if you do that in 48 hours, the compensation for that is unlike you've ever seen. Unlike you've ever seen. I don't care what program you've been part of. I don't care how much money you've made in the past. This is unlike any of that. So if you're watching this video and you want to start making money today, then I would say grab that link and sign up and follow the steps, and I will personally help you getting those steps done. And so you can begin cash flowing today. All right. So, and then of course, there's other activities you can do. You can bring merchants on board. That's another part of the campaign. And you can be a broadcaster. All of these things are part of this rapid growth that we are now beginning to experience again. Now, we did have rapid growth last year, and we weren't set up for it. We weren't set up for it at the time, but now we're set up. And here's what I am saying. I hope that the Kringle.Cash servers are able to provide all the traffic that's about to come, because it's going to be huge. So, you know, this video may be a little short, but I'm going to pretty much let this be it that I've talked about. We have been given a tool set by admin of TBC. We have been given an education system by the admin of TBC. Let me actually just elaborate on that a little bit, because I had learned very much about the human mind. I used to be very confused about what is faith. How do we believe, or why is it that people who claim to be believers, why are they just as poor as everybody else? This was a mystery to me that I could not seem to solve. Because if people are believers, then they have a connection with God that others don't. So why does their world look the same? Why does their world mirror back the exact same poverty that everybody else's does? This did not make sense to me. And if you really think about it, it doesn't. The apple that hangs on the apple tree, if you cut that stem, that apple stops growing. Or if you put a, what could we say, a very tight, you turn, put a wire maybe, and you put it very tight around that stem, it will probably strangle the life flow, the life force of that connection. We definitely know that you can starve a branch or a trunk of a tree by having a chain or something tight around it that it's not able to expand. It restrains it, it chokes the life. It's the same as if you want to water your flowers, and you're looking for pressure so it can spray out, and here it's barely dribbling. It's barely dribbling. And then you start following the hose, and then you see that there are a bunch of vice grips that are pinching the hose to bring it down right to just barely a dribble. So you have the vice grip of tax enslavement, the perpetrators running and forcing the governments to enslave you with taxes. And all these different types of enslavements that have been pushed upon us, those are all different vice grips that are pinching that hose that you're trying to use to water your flowers. But the biggest vice grip on that hose is the fact that you are standing on it. You are standing on it with your foot of ignorance, not understanding how life works. That's the biggest vice grip on there, is your own ignorance. This is how life has been for all of us. And when we have faith, we can remove that vice grip along with all of the other ones. And the water will flow freely with pressure. With pressure. Okay? TBC has given us the hose. TBC has given us the watering hose. Let's take all the vice grips off. And let's not stand on the hose either. And we will be watering the most beautiful garden you've ever seen. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And hopefully we'll see you here again tomorrow. Peace.